And did they tell you point blank, if you get through this training and when you get overseas, you're gonna be on target. Like you're gonna be places where bullets are flying. Like, was it made crystal clear the risks you were signing up for?
Not entirely. I actually just talked to a CST like 2 weeks ago about this. So we had two different missions. We had the Ranger mission, which was very much direct action. So they worked primarily at night. They would go in with the Rangers, go on target, guns a-blazing, get back on the helicopters and fly out. Or you could have the village stability operations with the Green Berets, the Army Green Beret Special Forces, and that was you lived and breathed and you were in the village. Some of them I got to do direct action as well as VSO, but a lot of them did just VSO. It was a mixed bag. So this woman that I talked to, she was a ranger and she worked with the Rangers, and she told me, she's like, I just wish they had better prepared us for what we were going to be doing, because it was kind of sold to us that we would be going in, but almost in a separate capacity. Like the Rangers would go in, they would clear. And then she's like, we had this thought that we were going to like fly in on a separate helicopter and then like land and then go and clear. And she's like, what I realized is when we did our first mission, it was nothing like what we expected. And that was kind of across the board. Is like, we were very prepared as far as training and as much as we could be as far as like training and being prepared for being in combat. But I think because the program was so new, it was very hard to really articulate exactly what we were going to be doing, at least for those first couple of rotations. Because I think she was like CST 3 or 4. So it was still very infant stages. But yeah, she said, I was absolutely shocked when I realized once we got on ground and we're literally with the Rangers and they're going in and we're right behind them. And that's how it was with us as well. It was like we were with the 3rd Kandak Commandos, Afghan Commandos, that because we would train them up and everything, and then they would go in the compound, and then we would follow right behind them. So you were like in the mix, but we didn't train like that. It's just you just don't know what you don't know until it like happens, and you're like, this is real. This is really happening. We're not in training environment anymore.
So let's get into the training real quick, and then we're gonna dive right back into the chaos you're just talking about there. When we bring guys on this show from the unit, the Rangers, the SEALs, they talk about, they train heavy on like CQB, sniper activities, surveillance, things of that nature. You're coming in a cultural support role, but doing very elite training. So in what ways is your training similar to what a guy in Special Forces might be doing? And how is it different? I mean, are you doing CQB? Are you learning explosives? You said you were trained on night vision. So take the audience through what you trained for.
So the training, it was much shorter. I mean, the guys go through months and months of training. So making that very clear, we knew that our training was extremely condensed as far as the physical demanding part of the training. We did go through CQB. We went through CQB not only like in the United States, but then when we actually flew over, if I remember correctly, I think we were there for like 2 weeks, and we went back through range training and CQB training. One of the areas that they really emphasized on was our range training. So they really worked with us for our pistol, like being able to draw from the holster, be effective with the pistol, but also rifle. But like working a pistol, if you're in close quarter combat, you may be able to use your rifle, but in our situation, a lot of times, like I might have my rifle across, but I'm going to have a notebook out, I'm going to have a pen, I'm going to be taking questions. And if you're really close to individuals, which I was a lot of the time, more than likely, I'm going to pull my pistol before I'm going to pull my rifle. So they taught us transitioning drills. They taught us like moving in a vehicle, getting out of a vehicle, shooting with your rifle across. They covered so much with us. And then what was great is depending on who you were embedded with, when you went down range, you did more training in country with your team. Like we would do these trainings in the States where they would do stress drills. So what they would do is to put you in a team of 4 or 5. They would make you like carry kettlebells, like sprints back and forth, come back, climb a rope, go back down, then sit down, do a mathematical equation really quick, get up, run around, carry this, do that, then sit down, put these little like things that measured your heart rate on your ear to like see how quickly you could drop your heart rate and answer questions. And so they were putting us through all of this. So when we were in a stressful situation, when we did need to shoot our firearm, you were able to like control the trigger squeeze, and still be able to operate and think clearly, relatively clearly, when you're in this high state of stress. So yeah, we went through a day, and that was during like the 2-month course. And then our actual like physical training, we did a lot of what the males did, like carrying apparatuses, ruck marching for an unidentified distance, working in a buddy team, doing obstacle courses, running an unidentified distance. Like there was a lot of unidentified distance where they would literally just take you out there and they would say, follow the cones. And you don't know, it could be 7 miles, it could be 2 miles, it could be 15. You just had to run and like keep running, keep running, hope it ends. It'll eventually end. So a lot of it was similar, absolutely, but it was very, very condensed. And they also put us through like psychological evaluations, all of that stuff, just to make sure we lost some women during all of that process too, because they obviously want to make sure that you're okay up here to be able to go out there and function.
And then when you go to like the cultural training side of it, what are they teaching you to do with the women you come across? What are like the tips and advice they're giving you for dealing with the local population?
Yeah, so that was what was really interesting based on, and this is from my personal experience. So we went through a lot of what we call scenario-based training, and they did that by bringing in actors, and we did the cultural training. So we had individuals that were from Afghanistan that would come in and teach our class to allow us to kind of have a better understanding of the culture and the religion and the just general norms. So we wouldn't be disrespecting them, not knowing. So that was really important. But then we would have these situational based trainings where we would go into an environment and we would have an interpreter, and we would get used to working with an interpreter, because it is different when you're doing translation and having to pause and making sure you simplify what you're saying